Command, this is Unit 3. Casualties everywhere. Civilians hit, repeat. 3,800 confirmed. Entire village is gone, wiped out. Delta 10 coordinate. It was wrong. It was wrong. Too many. Dead in the streets, children, families burning. Artillery still firing. Stop it. Stop it now. You're killing them. Command, do you copy? We are surrounded by corpses. Smoke too thick, can't breathe. 3,800 civilians. Lost in minutes. Do you understand? Minutes. Signal. Fading. Repeat. Civilians. All gone.
417. The 3rd of June 1955. Eastern hills of central Nepal. The sky cracked open. Fire tore through the valley. In minutes, 3,800 lives vanished. Entire villages swept away by a single, unthinkable error. No warning, no mercy. Only the echo of screams bouncing off stone and mud.
All units repeat. All units report status. Signal lost. No. Coordinate grid Delta 9 confirmed. Delta 9. Unit 3, we are under fire. Response, repeat. Do you copy?
The air was thick. Mist rolled through the low ridges, clinging to the forested slopes like a living thing. Soldiers moved with deliberate caution, boots sinking into wet earth. Cavalry waited on the crest, banners drooping under the weight of dew. Artillery crews bent over their howitzers, fingers trembling, wiping sweat from faces streaked with grime and expectation. Every muscle taut, every eye scanning the tree line, the stone walls, the winding riverbed below. A lieutenant with shaking hands checked maps. Coordinates shifted under his fingertips. The boy beside me tightened the straps of his pack, swallowing hard, breath puffing in the cold morning. Around us, the hum of nervous preparation thrummed. The horses snorted, a sharp, metallic scent of fear mixed with iron and mud. Scouts returned from the outer ridges. Their reports were fragmented, hurried, voices cracked in the wind. No movement, yet, but the village is still there. The secret weapon had not yet been revealed, but the whispers were enough. A cannon modified for long-range precision, an experimental shell that could level hills but misfired even once. It could destroy everything nearby.
Repeat, artillery, you read. Coordinates Delta 9, wait, no, correction. Delta 10, confirmed.
Shadows stretched across the valley floor as dawn broke. Birds scattered from the trees, their cries cutting through the tense stillness. Soldiers flexed their fingers around rifle stocks. Each heartbeat counted. Each second felt like a trap snapping shut. The lieutenant glanced at the valley again. A small misalignment on the map. A faint hesitation in the scout's voice. A trivial detail that no one would notice in the chaos. But one wrong number here could shift the aim, shift the fate of thousands. The boy beside me shivered. I saw it, and I felt it myself, the premonition of disaster. Something subtle, insignificant, but it weighed like stone. The earth seemed to hold its breath. The sky, too. And far below, in the villages, unaware of the storm about to descend, people began their ordinary routines. Soldiers checked weapons. A few cursed softly. One tried to whistle. Silence swallowed it. The secret weapon waited in its crate, cold and humming with potential. The cavalry shifted nervously, their riders gripping reins like lifelines. Every step, every glance, every heartbeat pulled us toward the edge of catastrophe. And no one, not a single soul, could see the shadow of the mistake that would strike first, strike fast, and leave nothing but smoke and screams in its wake.
All units repeat. Coordinates Delta 10. Unit 3, move in, fire, wait, do you read?
The valley stretched before us like a trap disguised as terrain. Jagged cliffs, broken ridges, and narrow passes funneled the columns of soldiers into shapes the enemy could predict, could exploit. Mist lingered in the low spots, curling around rocks and the abandoned stone walls of forgotten homesteads. The boy beside me kept his eyes low. Every shadow moved as if alive. A fox darted across the path. We flinched. Fear was contagious. It rode on the backs of the horses, on the slick mud beneath our boots. Our formations were precise. Infantry advanced in staggered lines, rifles raised, eyes scanning. Cavalry hugged the flanks, keeping a watchful curve along the ridges. Artillery rolled behind, each wheel gouging deep ruts into the soft ground. Every step measured, every breath cautious. Yet subtle doubts crept in, whispers among soldiers, a delay in the scouts' reports, a misread contour on the maps. Something as small as a single coordinate, misaligned by a fraction, could shift the aim of artillery, misplace the secret weapon. The lieutenant squinted at the map again, fingers tracing rivers, ridges, and villages. A minor oversight, he thought. Nothing catastrophic. But something about the valley's shape, the alignment of our columns, felt wrong. The boy beside me whispered, "Do you think they'll be ready?" I didn't answer. I only nodded. Words could not capture the creeping dread. The air smelled of wet earth and pine resin. Our boots pressed into mud. The horses snorted, slipping on moss-covered rocks. Every movement was a calculation. One misstep could send us tumbling into the enemy's line. Cavalry scouts reported movement. Far below, smoke curled over distant treetops. A glimmer of reflection, a roof catching sunlight, shadows shifting unnaturally, civilians or soldiers, we could not tell. The valley played tricks on our eyes, on our senses. Our columns pressed on. Each step was heavy, deliberate. The boy beside me clutched his rifle tighter. I felt the tremor in his hands. My own hands shook as well, though I tried to appear calm. The soldiers ahead and behind mirrored the same tension. A misread signal had already begun its quiet sabotage. Orders whispered down the line. Take position. Delta 9, Delta 1, 0. Each slight delay, each hesitant step added to a growing uncertainty. The terrain shifted. Narrow passes funneled us into choke points. Valleys tightened, rocks jagged like broken teeth. We advanced in silence now, hearts hammering, senses stretched taut, anticipation mixed with dread, forming a cocktail that burned in our lungs with each breath. The lieutenant halted the column briefly, eyes scanning. Lips moving over orders whispered. Mist obscured the paths below. Shadows stretched unnaturally long. He glanced at me, then the boy, then back to the map. The faint tremor of doubt in his hand was impossible to hide. Below, the villages sprawled, unaware. Laundry flapped on lines. Children ran between stone walls. Dogs barked at the wind. Every ordinary detail, every mundane motion, would be erased by a single mistake. We moved again. Each step forward carried us closer to the trap that none of us fully saw. The critical mistake, silent and invisible, was already taking root. A misread coordinate, an overlooked ridge, a delay in reporting simple, insignificant, deadly. Every soldier pressed on, eyes forward, hearts clenched. We were blind, marching into a storm whose first crack would shatter thousands of lives in seconds. The boy beside me swallowed. "It feels wrong," he muttered. I didn't answer. I only felt it too, the valley holding its breath, the earth waiting. And far above, where the artillery lay ready, the secret weapon hummed silently, patient, unaware of the human cost about to unfold. The first shots cracked the morning, sharp, unexpected. Bullets tore through mist, snapping branches, shattering the silence like glass. Chaos exploded. Soldiers yelled, ducked, fired blindly. The boy beside me fell to one knee, coughing. Smoke and dust mingled, coating eyes and throat. The air was thick with the acrid tang of gunpowder, mud, and fear. Rockets screamed overhead, trees shredded in sudden bursts of fire. Artillery thundered, but our positions were off. The secret weapon, the cannon designed to flatten hills, fired, but a fraction misaligned. A wall of destruction tore through our own flank. Shouts turned into screams, screams into silence. I saw him, the lieutenant with trembling hands, freeze as the blast hit. His map scattered in the wind, fluttering like a wounded bird. The valley was no longer terrain. It was chaos incarnate. Soldiers scrambled, slipping in mud. Cavalry tried to charge, but confusion rerouted them into fire. Every step became a calculation of survival. Every heartbeat, a gamble. The critical mistake Delta 10 misread had revealed itself. Artillery shells fell not on the enemy positions, but into villages below. Smoke rose, flames licked rooftops. Civilians ran, screamed, fell. 3,800 lives, gone in minutes. The boy beside me cried out, pointing toward a roof collapsing under the impact. "They!" His voice broke. I grabbed his arm. "Move!" But the valley swallowed our cries. The ground shook under relentless fire. Rocks splintered, trees toppled. Horses screamed. The lieutenant stumbled past, bleeding from a shard of rock, eyes wide. His hands shook as he tried to regroup the units. Orders barked, unheard, lost in the maelstrom. Every misstep magnified, every delay fatal. The unusual weapon roared again, its precision unmatched, its destructiveness indiscriminate. A hill cratered. Men and horses were thrown into the air. Dust choked our lungs. The air shimmered with heat and smoke. I ducked behind a fallen tree. The boy beside me crawled close, shaking. My ears rang. Every nerve burned. The lieutenant, bleeding, shouting, was a figure of panic and despair, an emblem of human frailty against mechanical death. Enemy positions were everywhere and nowhere. Shadows of soldiers moved through the smoke. Faces twisted in terror, rage, confusion. We fired blindly, each shot a prayer, each pull of the trigger a gamble with fate. A shell detonated near our flank. The ground erupted beneath us. Mud, stone, bodies hurled into the air. I felt the boy beside me thrown off balance, scrambling for purchase. His eyes met mine, sheer terror mirrored in mine. Every movement now was instinct, every decision, survival. The critical mistake had turned the battlefield into a trap not just for the villagers below, but for us as well. Friendly fire tore through ranks. Orders miscommunicated. Soldiers vanished in smoke. The lieutenant grabbed my shoulder. "Fall back! Fall back!" His voice cracked. But there was nowhere to go. Every retreat funneled us into the next wave of destruction. I stumbled past a collapsed wall. Bodies lay in grotesque poses, frozen mid-fear. Children, mothers, men shattered by a single error that should have been invisible. The secret weapon fired again. Flames and smoke rolled over the ridge, and I saw the lieutenant caught in its blast radius. He went down, screaming, his body slamming against stone and mud. The boy beside me cried out, frozen, his hands clutching the rifle uselessly. The battlefield was a living nightmare. Every nerve screamed, every instinct screamed, and beneath the smoke, beneath the fire, the valley waited silent, hungry, indifferent. The mistake was complete, its consequences irreversible. And in the midst of it, I realized we were witnesses to the fragility of survival, to the brutal arithmetic of war where one misstep, one wrong number, one simple error could erase thousands. The boy beside me shook. We can't save them." His voice was a whisper swallowed by fire and smoke. I swallowed bile. No answer came. Only the rhythm of survival. Move, breathe, survive, witness. The artillery roared again, indiscriminate, indisputable. The critical error had become the architect of catastrophe. The valley had become a furnace of fire and steel. Smoke curled into the sky, blotting out sunlight. The smell of burning wood and scorched flesh hung thick. Every heartbeat pounded like artillery. Every breath burned in lungs, slick with dust and ash. Soldiers charged, fell, scrambled, screamed. The boy beside me staggered forward, mud coating his face, eyes wide, lips raw from shouting commands that no one heard. I grabbed his arm, pulling him over rocks slick with blood and water. The secret weapon fired again. Its roar shattered the mountainside. Trees disintegrated. Rocks rained down. Friend and foe alike vanished in explosions that left craters the size of houses. The lieutenant, miraculously still moving despite earlier wounds, shouted, trying to rally units, but the critical mistake had already trapped thousands in the line of fire. Delta 10, miscalculation. The coordinates were wrong. Flames engulfed villages below. Civilians screamed, running into the blast zones, unaware that the very weapons meant to protect them had become executioners. My stomach lurched, my throat ached. The boy's hands shook uncontrollably, pressing against my shoulder for balance. Every second was a fight against instinct. Heart pounding, lungs burning, muscles screaming. We moved through chaos like ghosts. Men twisted in mud, their screams swallowed by fire. Horses reared, stumbled, fell, leaving broken bodies tangled in reins and hooves. The lieutenant fired his rifle mechanically, eyes darting, jaw tight. His body shook with exhaustion and adrenaline. I saw him catch a glimpse of the craters below villages gone, smoke rising. corpses strewn like shattered dolls. His face paled, a mask of disbelief, fury, and despair. Artillery shells screamed overhead, some striking true, some fatally off. Delta 10 misread again. Another wave of destruction hit. Trees exploded into fire. Walls crumbled. Men and civilians alike were hurled to the ground. The boy beside me cried out as a piece of flying debris grazed his shoulder. I grabbed him, yanking him down into the mud. We pressed forward, moving through smoke and fire, our bodies slick with sweat and grime. I felt every heartbeat as a hammer against ribs. Every breath drew ash and blood into my lungs. The valley trembled beneath the roar of artillery, the scream of rifles, the cries of the dying. The secret weapon, once a calculated advantage, had become a double-edged sword. Its devastating power flattened hills meant to shelter us, obliterating friend and foe alike. Soldiers vanished into craters, screaming, never to rise. The lieutenant tried to redirect units, but confusion had metastasized. Orders were meaningless, communication lost in smoke and terror. The boy beside me fell, coughing, vomiting from the acrid air. I dragged him up, pressed him against my chest. "Keep moving!" I shouted, my voice raw. But around us, death moved faster. The critical mistake, now fully realized, had sealed the fate of thousands. Civilians trapped in villages, flames, smoke, and collapsing roofs. Soldiers caught in crossfire. Artillery misfires raining destruction indiscriminately. Every misaligned calculation multiplied the chaos. I saw the lieutenant again, caught between two collapsing buildings, trying to lift wounded men, his own face bloodied, eyes wild. A shell detonated nearby. He vanished in smoke. I could only scream his name, swallowed instantly by the roar of battle. The boy beside me clung to my arm, sobbing. "They're gone," he whispered. His voice cracked, his body shook. I felt the same helplessness, a rage boiling in my gut. But there was no time for grief. Survival demanded motion. I stumbled over broken earth, across splintered wood, through mud thick with blood and ash. Men screamed, shouted, begged, fell. Fires leapt from village to village, fueled by the secret weapon's devastating impact. The valley had become a crucible, testing every ounce of endurance, every shred of courage. Every second dragged and exploded at once. Exhaustion fused with terror, hunger fused with adrenaline, fear fused with resolve. We were alive, barely. And yet, as I looked down, I saw the truth. Thousands of lives obliterated by one misread coordinate, by one miscalculation, by one critical mistake. The boy beside me leaned against a shattered wall, shaking, eyes hollow. I held him upright. We survived, I said, but the words tasted like ash. The valley had won. The mistake had triumphed. Smoke choked the sky. Fire consumed the earth, and the secret weapon, once a promise of strategic dominance, now lay impotent, its devastation complete, indiscriminate, unforgiving. The valley was silent. Smoke hung in heavy curtains, curling over the ruined earth. Fires burned unattended, sending shadows dancing across collapsed homes and shattered trees. The air smelled of charred wood, blood, and death. Only a few staggered through the mud and debris, soldiers, civilians, and the boy beside me, each moving as if the world were a waking nightmare. The lieutenant did not emerge from the smoke. Somewhere beneath the rubble, the consequences of our mistake lay buried. Final.
All units report. Do you copy? Delta 10. Repeat Delta 10. Coordinates, no response. Fire, cease. Unit 3, reply. We are trapped. Repeat, trapped. Signal fading. Signal lost.
We moved cautiously, stepping over bodies, through ruins. Every step was an echo of the catastrophe. The valley had consumed everything. Thousands of lives erased in minutes, the result of one miscalculation. The boy beside me sank against a splintered wall, his face streaked with soot and tears. "It was one wrong number," he whispered. "One mistake that buried them all." I nodded, numb. There was nothing left to argue, nothing left to do. We were survivors, ghosts wandering through the ruins of a world that had existed only hours before. The artillery lay silent, its secret weapons spent, its promise of dominance now a monument to devastation. Villages that had lived for generations were gone. Families, friends, children vanished, all because of a misread coordinate, a lapse that should have been invisible. We stumbled through the valley, bodies shaking, hearts pounding, lungs gasping. Every movement reminded us of those lost. Every shadow, every ruined wall, a testimony to the fragility of survival. The boy beside me touched a scorched doorway. They were just living their lives, he said, voice breaking. And we brought them death. No answer came. Silence had weight. Silence had shape. And in the valley, the earth seemed to mourn. The sun filtered through smoke, pale and weak.
Repeat. Ceasefire. Coordinates Delta. 10. Survivors. Report. Signal fading. Unit 3. You read?
We walked on. The world felt hollow. Survival was meaningless without those lost. The lieutenant, the soldiers, the civilians, all victims of one moment, one number, one misstep. The valley would remember. The mountains would remember. But we, the survivors, carried the guilt, the horror, the memory of what a single error could destroy. It was over. The battle ended, but the consequences lingered. In the stillness, one truth remained. Life was fragile, fleeting, and utterly dependent on the smallest details. One misstep could bury thousands. One error could turn a battlefield into a graveyard. One number, Delta 10, had done exactly that. The boy beside me looked up at the smoke-dark sky. "We survived," he whispered, but the word felt wrong. We survived, yes, but at the cost of thousands. The valley would never forgive us. And neither would we.